going, and welcome to The Guitar Effect. My name's Rob. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at this. This is the Mooer M2 Prime, or Prime M2? Prime M2. And what this is a lot of people are kind of saying actually that this is the future of guitar pedals. And it's an extremely impressive device, and I can see why people would take that tack with it. What it is a compact single stomp box size. Stomp box, right? It's completely digital. It's lithium battery powered, which means it's rechargeable, which is pretty amazing. It is a multi-effects unit. It's an amp modeler. So basically it's an entire guitar rig, entire digital guitar rig. It's also a drum machine. It's a looper. It's a USB audio interface. And you can use Bluetooth to stream audio through it and jam along with it as well. So it's a huge amount of different things. What I'm going to focus on in this video is talking about the kind of unthought of roles that this pedal can play, and like devices that it could potentially do the same job as and replace, right? So this could replace your entire guitar rig, but I will say, I'll make a stipulation that you need this. This is the Mooer F4 Footswitch, and this connects wirelessly with this. Both are battery powered, and this really turns this from a home bedroom player's kind of playing aid, to a giggable, really useful tool. The F4 Footswitch is simply a wireless foot switch that has a number of different uses within the different, it does one thing in the amp modeling and rig thing, it does another thing in the looper thing, it does another thing in the drum machine thing. But this is really necessary to get the best out of this. Mooer sent this out to me, by the way. I should absolutely make that clear. I didn't pay for the pedal. They're not paying me for the review, but they are allowing me to keep it. So the first thing we should do is take a listen to it in the track. Before I get into that, I'm not going to speak about the drum machine. I'm not going to speak about the looper. I'm not going to speak about the USB audio interface, because they are not things that I would use this for. I am a gigging musician. I play originals in an original band, and I play covers in 2 different tribute bands. That's where I would use this. I wouldn't use it as a looper, and I wouldn't use it as a drum machine or a home practice tool. It's not the kind of player I am. It's not what I'm interested in. There are loads of demos of this on YouTube that if you're into the looper and into the drum machine, go watch them. This to me is a bit of a hidden gem. And I don't mean hidden gem as in nobody knows about it. Loads of people know about it, but I haven't seen necessarily people talking about it in the way I'm going to talk about it today. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how you would use it as an entire rig for one of my band's songs, using it and the foot switch to cycle through 4 different presets for that song. So here, this song is called Modern Disease, and here is the M2 covering all the guitar sounds in that song. So there you go, like completely battery powered, doesn't need any power supply. The foot switch is also battery powered. They connect via Bluetooth, and there's an app on your phone that you can use to program it really, really quickly. Again, all completely wireless. And that's the part of this that I think, well, the first part of it I think is kind of why people are saying it's the future of guitar pedals. This is not going to replace it's not going to replace either of my pedal boards. I have two pedal boards. One is a Bossy S8 switching system with a load of pedals in it, and the other one is a HX Effects with a OD200 outboard of it, right, by Boss. This is not going to replace either of them because it can't do what they can do. But as a standalone backup with that foot switch in the front pocket of your guitar case, charged up and turned off, it's really, really, really powerful what it can do. So I'm going to get into the audio demo in a minute and I'll show you the use cases of the 3 things that I think this can do and it can do really, really well. I'm going to make another video where I use it with external devices, right? Because the 3 uses I go through in the video are, it's a full standalone rig, it's 4 individual stomp boxes, 1 bank at a time, and then it is the ability to have, in this case, all your modulation, delay, reverb, any of those kind of ambient effects in one unit that you could place in the effects loop of your amp, for example, or you could put an overdrive pedal in front of it and use the 4 foot switches on the 4 foot switches on the 4 foot switches on the MIDI foot switch to cycle through intro, verse, chorus, and solo in a sequential number of songs, right? Now, it's the first thing, I don't go through this in the video. The reason I want to talk about something for a second is, so I'm just going to get closer to the camera. You can see the interface here. I'm going to try and get it in focus, okay? I think that's as in focus as it's going to get. What happens is, these are all kind of top level controls for what you can control in the unit, right? You know, for example, there's like the output level. If I click on this, there's the output level. Can go back. Oh, by the way, yeah, this is a touchscreen. There's the drum machine, which is there. I can go back. There is the looper, which is there. I can go back. There's Bluetooth, the foot switch connectivity, and a tuner, which is there. All of these, by the way, when you tap them, the relevant part of the interface comes up on the phone, which is really, really cool once it's connected. Then the other thing is, if you hit any of these foot switches, it goes into this bank mode. Each bank has 4 sounds, and within each bank you can select any one of those 4 sounds. Now, I just want to turn on the foot switch. If I go back, it's hard to use in certain ways. Anyway, you can then cycle through by tapping on any one of these 4 presets. So hard to do when I'm looking at the screen. A, B, C or D, right? You can also do that with the foot switch. I don't have the foot switch connected right now. And then you can use these 2 switches to cycle between banks, right? I have about 5 banks set up at the moment, but the way I have it done is bank 1 is completely just entire sounds, bank 2 is stomp boxes, and bank 3 and 4 are song presets. So the interface is really easy to use, the phone interface is really easy to use, and then in terms of connectivity, a huge thing that this has, it has MIDI in. This can replace a Line 6 M5 on your pedal board really easily. I don't think the effects are quite at the quality even of the M series Line 6 stuff, but it's very small, it's very affordable, and it can also do amp modeling. Then it has a phone socket on the back, and it has a USB jack on the back. USB phones and MIDI. MIDI's on that like 1/8 inch socket. It has stereo outs, mono in. It's extremely light. And it has 2 foot switches on the front that can do various different things depending on how you want to set it up. Principally though, it can select either, in like the way that I would use it, which is making guitar sounds, not as a drum machine or a looper or anything, they can either go preset up and down or bank up and down. If you have the foot switch, bank up and down here, and then use the foot switch to go through all the 4 different presets. So that's the intro. Really, really impressive piece of kit. So let's take a listen to it now. Okay, so it's a demo of the M2 Prime of a pretty simple setup, right? I'm demoing it, as I've explained, doing a number of different things. So there's a number of different elements needed. The first thing, obviously, is a guitar. This is my Bernie Les Paul I use for a lot of demos. Anybody that watches my channel regularly is probably the guitar I use to demo things most. It's a P90 loaded Les Paul. And then I'm going from a wireless lead out of it into the M2. Out of the M2, I'm going into the NUX Solid Studio, which is my sort of amplifier at home here for doing demos. And that's because in certain instances I'm going to be using the amps from the M2, and in certain instances I'm going to be simulating using it in a live setup where you would use an amplifier. and then I'm coming out of the Solid Studio directly into a channel on my interface. So that's the setup, right? There's a couple of different setups I might make a second video on where I get into more complex uses for it. I might mention them in this video, but I'm going to stick with this setup now because it would take me a long time to kind of jimmy rig things around to show different ways of using it, right? But this is a setup for the time being, and I also have the I think it's called the F4 Footswitch on the ground here in front of it. Really, I don't think there's any point in having this other than as an amp replacement if you don't get this Footswitch with it. But if you get this Footswitch with it, the fact that the two of these are battery powered combined with the capability that this has, mind blown, right? So the other thing is I have my interface up on my phone and I'm recording it at the moment, and when it becomes pertinent to show the interface, I'll stick it up on screen. So I'm going to start with the P2 by itself, right? So, sorry, the M2 by itself, the M2 Prime by itself. The first use I'm going to talk about is basically as an entire rig replacement, right? So while effectively all I'm really doing here is switching between 4 different amp settings for like a covers gig that I would use for clean, dirty, heavy and lead. And they have entire rigs, like they all have various pedals in them, they have modulation effects, delay effects and stuff like that. There's no way to actually turn them off without clicking them on and off on the phone, which you're not going to do in a live situation. So all you can really use a pedal for in this instance is to switch between the 4 different sounds, right? So what I'll do is, I'll go through the 4 sounds first and then I'll throw the interface up on screen to show you what those sounds are. Here's my clean sound. My sort of broken up sound. My heavy sound. And my lead sound. You could get through a covers gig, no problem, with those 4 sounds. The only thing you couldn't do is choose, say, in one song you needed a tremolo on for a certain part of the song. There's no way of doing that within this. You'd have to have a separate clean patch with a tremolo on. So in that way, I see this as a kind of a get out of jail situation where your amp or your rig goes down, pull this out of your gig bag, it's all battery powered, you throw it on the floor and you can get through the rest of the gig. You won't have any nuance or sort of icing on your playing because it'll be really, really basic sounds, but you'll definitely be able to get through the gig. So what are those 4 sounds? I'll show you now. So when you get the Prime M2, it comes with this phone app in it, right, which I'll throw the screen up of now. This is what the interface looks like, right? So I'm not going to go through the functionality of the app. I'm just going to show you how these presets are made. So in clean, you can see, right, that I have a load of pedals, as you can see. I have a mod, some delays. One of those delays is on. I have a reverb. I have another mod, which is a tremolo. I think that mod is a chorus and that mod is a tremolo. I'll just check, actually. That's a tremolo and that is a rotary. And then I have a cab at the end. All I have on here is the amp, which is the US bass one, with they're the settings I have. The treble, or sorry, the presence is pushed. And then I have a delay, which is a tape delay with a level and feedback really, really low, and it's set it to an 1/8 note. And then I have the cab, I have the UK 212, and what's important is I'm using the same cabinet across all of these presets, which is really, really important for having 4 sort of giggable sound setup, right? So then that's clean. All I do is I hit clean, and I go down to dirty, and you notice that the unit changes to dirty too. So in dirty, very similar. I have the exact same setup of the US bass, but I have the gain maxed. None of the other settings have changed. I might have brought the master back a little bit to compensate for the loudness of the gain. The delay is still on, the reverb is still on, they're all the same. And the cab is the same UK 212. If I go down to crunch, and the unit changes to crunch as well because it's connected via Bluetooth, which is great. I have a noise gain on now as well because it's a bit noisier. And the amp is the Black Knight DS. Now, I'm going to say, like, I've considered buying Mooer's Black Knight preamp pedal many, many times. This sounds really, really good. I really, really like the sound of it. So I have the gain backed off to like 23 here because it's like for want of a better word, lower gain version of a high gain sound. There my EQ, with the presence backed off because it was very bright, and I have the master there at 60. And then I have the same cab, the UK 212 cab, right? I have a reverb, I have no delay on here. And if I go to lead, I have the same amp with roughly the same setting, but I have this OD pedal and a tube screamer on in front of it. I have a gate, I have a delay for a bit of digital delay for a bit like ambience from the lead sound, and I have a reverb. And that is all of the sounds that's how I set up those 4 sounds. That probably took me, I don't know, maybe about 40 or 50 minutes to do all that. With 80s lead sounds, not really my thing, but it's like if you're playing a covers gig, having a lead sound like that is important. Neck pickup. Completely silent, as I'll say as well, right? So going through those 4 sounds again, like if you're, you know, same thing, slightly dirty sound. You get the idea, like it'll get you through a covers gig for any type of sounds you may need at all, with no hassle at all. And again, for the price that this costs, it is a multi-effects and modelling rig that's battery powered, that's really, really compact, that really is the ultimate backup rig. You don't have the flexibility that, for me, that you'd need for it not to be a backup rig, to be able to like turn different effects on and off within each preset. So I'd have a clean preset, but with a foot switch where I could turn on tremolo or chorus, a dirty preset where I could turn on again a trem and maybe a delay. To be able to turn on individual effects within them would really take it to the next level. And there's one thing they could do there actually, they could add a current number foot switch functionality to each foot switch in each bank. Each preset, I should say, that if you hit it again, you could turn on a boost, for example, or one effect, or any combination of effects you wanted on one switch. That would really like upscale this capability of this unit a lot. So then the next thing is just to show you what the extra things that the foot switch can do. So on that lead preset, or actually I'll go back to the clean one, it's probably a bit more obvious. There's a little delay there. I can control the top tempo of that by holding this. Puts it into tuner first of all. Tuner is grand. And as you can see, the tuner is on the interface as well. You could put the interface, you know, on a phone stand, on your mic stand, and you could use it. I would never do anything like that. That's not the way I operate. I want my stuff with my feet because I want to, like, you know, either play guitar if I have a guitar gig or sing and entertain the crowd from a front man. I don't want something on a mic stand that I have to interact with my hands. Just not for me. So to set tap tempo, you can also go, just tap in a tap tempo and it'll set the tempo of the delay. You can see the delay tempo has changed. So that's, again, super useful, right? And that can all be done with the foot switch. So as a, yeah, I think you get out of it by, yeah. As a standalone unit that is battery powered, it's extremely capable as a full standalone rig. It's just not totally infinitely tweakable, which, given what it is, I think will be a bit of an ask. Right, so that's the first thing that it can do. The next thing that it can do is you could actually set it up as make these 4 switches individual stomp boxes. And how you would do that is, right, if I, oh, by the way, yeah, all these 4 switches are switching between A, B, C and D, as you can see. But if I hit this switch, it goes up to the next bank, and now I get bank bank 1, A, B, C and D on these switches, right? Now, what I have here, as you can see, is I have a I have a mod delay in dotted eighths, or say eighths, dotted eighths actually. I have a tape delay in quarter notes, I have a trem, and I have a rotary. So, you can put an overdrive pedal in front of this, like here, you know, and have an overdrive, 2 delays, a trem and a rotary with this foot switch. If you had this foot switch, or indeed you could cycle through them with these. No, that's set to bank. Okay, important to note that actually, when you don't have the foot switch plugged in, you can set these switches to cycle up and down between individual presets. When you do have this plugged in, you can set it to just cycle between banks with this, which is really, really useful. So because I have this plugged in, I would use this to select presets and these 2 switches to select bank, okay? Now, right now I don't have an amp on, because again, if I go to the interface and I put it up on screen now, you can see that in this preset 1, I just have one effect, a mod delay. In preset 2, I have a tape delay. In preset 3, I have a trem. And in preset 4, I have a rotary. Okay, this will be to use as an actual like multi-effects unit into a rig. Now, also, I'll demonstrate this separately, but you could also use a MIDI controller, plug the MIDI controller into the back, into the MIDI port here, say bring an OD200 by Boss, and have a MIDI controller that can control both of those things together. The Boss runs on batteries, this runs on batteries. You could put them on a little pedal board and have this foot switch in the front. You've got a very, very powerful rig then. But I'm sticking to just the Mooer gear today, well, other than, you know, augmenting an amplifier. So in this situation, I'm going to turn on the Fender Bassman on the clean amplifier, basically, on my new X Solid Studio 2, which is my home modelling amplifier. There's a rotary, tremolo, tape delay, but also I can just switch it off. No, I can't actually. I've just figured that out now. But I can control the tempo. You can't have no effects. So that's interesting, right? There probably is a way of bypassing that I'm not aware of. So I'll look that up and I'll stick on screen how you bypass it now. But right now, I haven't figured out a way to bypass it. So I get back, I'm into my tape delay, and over here I have my mod delay. I have this one set to a kind of a dotted eight thing. Can't remember how to play that, but you get the idea. If I wanted to change the pace of that, I would hold this, just tap it in. 5. The output on my Solid Studio is a little bit loud, so I'm just going to turn down my input again a little bit. So one thing that's interesting about that is the quality of that modulated delay is not in the same ballpark as the quality from my Pigtronics Ecolution 3, which is my main distortion pedal or delay pedal, or from the HX Effects, but it's good enough, right? A little bit of modulation about it, it gives a little bit kind of warmth and depth. Like, slow that down, 1, 2. job, you know. Still peaking a little bit there. I was going to turn down a bit. It does a job and it does it well, but it's not in the same level as like the glitz delay from the HX Effects, which would be one of the mod delays I would use there. If I go over to the tape delay, which is kind of a bit more slow ambient kind of thing. That's the second thing you can use it for. You can use it as a multi-effects unit that becomes 4 stomp boxes on the floor. Obviously, I'd have to figure out how you bypass it, which is, I don't know how you bypass it straight out of the gate. Right, the next thing, you could get a bit more intricate, right? And you could serve the same purpose as what I just did, but instead of using one effect, you could use multiple effects on each preset. And let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go up to the next bank now, and you'll see in bank 1, it's called Mod Disease Intro. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying that you could take each song in your set. If you run presets per song, it can basically do that. So if I go in here, you'll see on the interface again, right, that I have a rotary, a delay, a reverb, and another delay. But if I hit the next patch, it's Mod Disease Verse. The rotary is off, the delay is off, the reverb's on. If I hit another one, it's Mod Disease Solo. Now nothing's on but the delay. And on the last one, sorry, I'm getting confused here. So it's, yeah, Mod Disease Solo has just the delay. Mod Disease Chorus has the rotary and the reverb. Mod Disease Verse has the delay and the reverb. And Mod Disease Intro just has the delay. Now, what that means is, as I cycle through the different parts of one of the songs from my original band set, which is the one I would have shown in the intro incidentally, I can simply use these 4 switches to switch to different preset parts for that song. So this is a verse, this is an intro, this is a verse, this is a chorus, and this is a solo. However, I would need to combine this with a overdrive pedal. I could add the overdrive pedals in here, but I'm not using it as a specific full rig. When I run this sort of a setup, I always run an external overdrive pedal because it's easier to use in that way. But I'll show you what I mean. So, in the first part of Modern Disease, there's just a delay. When I get into the verse, there's a bigger delay with a sort of ambience kind of feel to it. When I get into the chorus, there's a rotary. And when I get into the last part, the solo, the rotary gets turned off and the smaller delay comes back. Now, but I would need an external overdrive pedal or distortion pedal, preferably a MIDI one, like again the OD200, which is what I use with the HX Effects for this very same purpose. And it would also be controlled by this MIDI controller. So as I switch through song parts, it would switch the sounds on the OD200 as well. I'll make a video about showing that. But the other thing is you can set the tempo of each one of these presets. So all the tempos in this song, on these 4 presets are set to that song. If I go up to the next bank, the next song in our set, which is called Lonely Lives. And now I have a spring reverb, I have a different delay, and the delay is set to in time with the song. And that's what that preset sounds like. When I get into the middle 8 of that song, there's a phaser comes on. Again, all timed perfectly to the song. When I come to the next song, same thing applies. There is a delay. that's in time with the song. Then when I get to the last part of the song, there's a rotary comes on. Point being, this is exactly how I use the HX effects, which is a much bigger, more cumbersome, harder to power, sounds much better. It's way more expensive. I don't think they're competing for sound quality, but I use it to get all these ambient and modulation effects on a song by song basis. This is the first unit I've come across that's this kind of size that can do that, and with the MIDI in the back, I can recall these presets as I need them with a MIDI controller, which when you add in a MIDI powered distortion or overdrive pedal that goes along with it, becomes a very, very compact controllable rig, and that is probably what the biggest interest for me is from a gigging musician point of view. So to go over those three things, first of all, you can have 4 presets that you can get through any gig with, like a covers gig, a clean, a dirty, heavy and lead, using all the amp modelling from the unit itself and the cab modelling. Secondly, you can set it up as a kind of a standalone multi-effects unit. I did 2 delays, a reverb and 2 delays, a tremolo and a rotary. You could choose whatever 4 effects you wanted. Or lastly, you can set it up as specific song-based program choices as you go through your entire set list. You can make a set list. You can choose to do a whole rig set list. I wouldn't do that, but I'm using it for just delay and modulation and reverb programs per set list. Absolutely amazing, and like the potential of this thing is unreal. So thank you so much to Mooer for sending it out. I'm only scratching the surface, and I'm going to make another video about where I think about combining it with different devices, because you could use this as a standalone amp sim as well, don't forget, and just pick that basement patch at the beginning and just use it for your clean amp sim for everything. And in that respect, I'm just blown away by it. Possibly is the future of one type of approach to guitar pedals. So there you go. I think in this video I'm only scratching the surface as to what this can do really as a pro spec piece of kit, either to integrate into a rig, to use as a backup for an entire rig, or to use as, say, for example, an amp modeler, a standalone amp modeler. And what I'm going to do is I'll make another video where I show it being used as a channel switching amp modeler using MIDI with an external device. I'll show where I use as a backup, say as a single amp with an entire pedal board, and then I'll use it with a MIDI controller, may say another multi-effects unit, to show how it can stand in as a amp modeler. So yeah, lots of uses I'm going to do making a second video. Won't be the next video I'll make because I've a good bit of stuff to get through, but thank you very much to Mooer for sending this out. It's extremely impressive. I don't know if I'd say it's the future of guitar pedals, but I think it's the future of multi-effects processors in a small format, and in that respect it's extremely impressive. Fair play to Mooer, because they are really thinking outside the box and thinking forward, or in this case thinking inside the box. So yeah, thanks Mooer for sending it out. Any questions, throw them in the comment section below, and I shall, please like and subscribe if you've watched this far. As always, I say thank you. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you in another video again soon. Cheers, take it easy, bye bye.